Welcome to the Waiting Lis Podcast. Tell us a story.
It's like many things you start building from scratch.
And then I'm like, wait, I really do like watches because
You've seen so many watches that makes you excited.
I think I really do like watches.
Yeah. I think it's a great way to see if you are a watch enthusiast. Right, thanks for joining us today, Chester.
No, thank you for coming.
I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too.
Right? How are you feeling?
A bit tired.
Just a bit tired? Are you not apprehensive?
Well, I don't know. Let's see. We'll see, will we?
Right. So, just to give our audience background, because obviously they don't know who you are and they don't know our relationship. I was in lockdown here in Hong Kong
Yeah.
due to COVID-19.
Yeah,
Right?
we all are.
2-week holiday planned over the Chinese New Year, now turned to almost 5 months.
Yeah.
Anyway, during this time, I was out in Central, coming to the basically realization that I'm not going to be going back to Shanghai anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually posted on my Instagram stories. Did I actually write who's free or something?
Who's in Hong Kong?
Who's in Hong Kong?
Yeah.
Right, who's in Hong Kong? To which Chester, who we're interviewing today, replied to. And then subsequently, a cigar meet was arranged.
And I thought that was a grinder date.
It was on Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Just to make that clear, it was like
I think
February
you were part
14th.
of this threesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, this interview will be conducted in 2 parts. Basically, one focusing on Chester's background, and the second, of course, on his watch collecting. So let's do this.
Let's go.
Right. So actually, Chester, what
Yeah.
were you doing that day when you replied to my story?
I was having a meeting with a banker, and I was bored out of my damn mind during that meeting. It was just the banker just keep mumbling about the stuff that I do not care anymore. I just want to get the fuck out of there, but I just can't. So under the table, well, I was actually having coffee with the banker at the cake shop in Mandarin Oriental.
Yeah.
So I tried to be as discreet as possible to slide my phone out of my pants pocket and under the table and start looking at stuff. And then I saw like, oh, Shanghai Watch Gang, well, Daniel posted, who's in Hong Kong. I'm just saying, well, screw it, just stick around. And I just repost. I reply, moi.
You didn't know my name was Daniel, right?
I didn't know that.
Right.
I just okay. Like I don't expect an answer. I'm just.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't.
Do you do that often? Do you actually... Have you done that before? Like reached out? Or is it just something that you thought, just fuck it, I'll do it today?
It's just fuck it. I'm just gonna do it.
Okay.
I'm just too bored.
That just says something about that meeting. That meeting was so
Oh, how many
weird.
bankers were there at that meeting?
One.
What, and you're doing all this and he can't figure out that you're not actually listening to him?
He can. He doesn't care. He's
I
like,
was just sliding. I would keep talking.
You just
to
need
him
that
and just
signature.
yeah. He's like, you
flip
just
over.
gotta.
Flip over, look at my phone again, and eye contact again, and just yeah.
So are these banker meetings something you do regularly?
I guess I'll do a meeting at least once a week. I guess.
Okay, so not
Yeah.
too bad. So I was wondering, like, how long have you actually been following the Shanghai Watch Gang account?
The day before. No, I'm just kidding. A couple months.
How did you come across it?
Oh, I believe it was our common friend Nathan. Where he just saying that we were just talking watches one day and just saying, oh, well, maybe this account's pretty cool. There's a lot of like really nice watches. Oh yeah, it is. So I just started following you.
How
Oh.
long have you had your Instagram for, actually? Because I remember when me and Dan first met you, and I opened your page. There weren't a lot of photos, right?
Okay, it was the I think it was the day after. So and another launch event for Urwork, the UR 100.
Yeah.
It's the second day
Okay.
of the. I think so. It was around that period of time.
Okay.
Yeah, I just started that couple of days. I started
quite
a new
recent
account
then.
Yeah.
It's like you're talking about something like last year then?
last year. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And what actually made you do the account?
Oh. Well, I don't want it to be too mixed in because my personal account is just about a little bit more me.
Food.
I was gonna go to that. Stop cock blocking me. But yeah, and I started an account. Well, obviously, as we know, or whoever give them a listen to this podcast knows that no matter how you spin it, watches at the current society or the current state of society, you'll be always look at as a luxury item.
Yeah, that's right.
Even with a G-Shock.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to separate it, show watches sort of in a way that I'm not trying to show off the wealth, but it's just to share that, it's just a nice piece of engineering. And yeah, just hope to get more people to like watches.
That's great.
That's nice.
So, had you been following Lung Lung too at the time, or not?
No, I actually don't know who Lung is.
Oh, okay.
Actually, on even on that day when we met up and you say that, do you want to do dinner? Do you know Lung Lung? I'm like, what? Who?
Oh, okay. Right. She gets around a bit in Hong Kong, due to her watch collecting, obviously. No other reasons, but
well, she's not known within our group, so not yet. No, not yet.
Right. So what kind of expectations did you have about meeting us? Did you have anything like
nothing? Actually, nothing.
Before?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah,
okay.
I actually have no expectation.
Right. Actually, what were your expectations?
Meeting you.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back to the first time I met you, which was in Shanghai.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What was my expectation? I wasn't scared because it wasn't like I was meeting someone completely for the first time, right? I knew Andy Zhang, so I was like, his friends can't be that weird. So there's already like
this was before you knew Andy properly, right?
Ouch.
Ouch.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. No, it was great. Like I really enjoyed our first talk. I remember we got deep. Well, there was a connection because we both have the datograph. So I was like, okay, we have the same taste.
Thank God you brought on the datograph.
Yeah.
It's just that
wait,
two sentence brief before the
datograph?
datograph was just weird, man.
Thanks, Chester. You just made it a whole lot weirder.
I know he wasn't so interested in our conversation because I went with a friend. And he was clearly more interested in my friend.
Yeah, I was playing that kind of game where you're more interested in the friend than her. So
Yeah,
you, kind of get, you know what I mean?
Yeah. All of a sudden, you just make Long the grenade buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's not like it's the first time I've met a watch collector
Right.
over Instagram,
Yeah.
but for it to be on Valentine's Day and for it to be at a place I've never been, so obviously.
Well, hey, your boyfriend's not here either. So.
Yeah, so obviously it's already a sad day, right? And then I remember we had dinner and we were walking there.
This is cold,
Not
slightly
knowing-
wet, I believe.
Oh, so I asked Dan before meeting. I was like, "How old is this guy? What does he do? Blah blah blah," and it was like you said, a grinded date where he basically was like male. I don't want to say your age.
Yeah, I can actually tell you a lot about him. I remember.
It was just so vague, and then I was like, "Great."
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know, because when Daniel asked, can you tell me a little bit more about yourself? I'm like,
Yeah.
You thought it was a bit weird.
what do you mean tell me a little bit more myself? Male, 33.
Yeah, I know, but now you know that we meet collectors and stuff. I think you see why I asked,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, but it's
At the
still,
time you
if
didn't.
someone asked me, I still don't know how to answer it.
Okay.
It's just, I don't know.
But main point is walking in, seeing him. He was wearing a Japanese chef.
Well, it's more like a fisherman.
Yeah,
sort of
fisherman.
like a rope.
Yeah, a robe. I mean, he was wearing clothes under, but still that.
Well,
And then
obviously.
the
I'm not
next
too
thing
happy.
you see is the code 1159. So you're like, holy shit.
No, you guys don't see that. Yeah.
Yeah, but because you're like,
Holy shit, in a
is
bad
that?
way. Or
Yeah,
what? What are you trying to say?
in a bad way. Because you're like, is it? Is it? And then you're like, oh, it is.
Yeah.
And then the next thing, honest to God, I was thinking is, wow, I didn't know chefs made a lot of money. Because I was like, clearly he's like smoking cigars. The code is not cheap. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's a beautiful place to actually smoke cigars, that
Such a
place.
nice-
I won't say where it is.
Yeah, don't
it's a
say
little
where
bit
it
of a
is.
secret location.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's move this on, this podcast on. So I would say, Chester, you're an example of second rich generation.
Yeah.
I know you don't particularly like that term. I don't think anybody likes that term. But
Oh,
I do think-
second rich generation. How would you
Fuerdai.
put it? Yeah,
Fuerdai.
we all know that in Chinese, but it's not very good. It's hard to put it in English, huh?
Well, it does actually.
Anyway,
translate,
yeah. Anyway.
But I do think it's the most appropriate way to describe your circumstances. But actually, I wanted where are you actually born?
China, born in Foshan, or in Cantonese Fasan.
Yeah.
So I will always call it a small little city right next to Guangzhou, because that's how I see it when I was younger. But now I just grew with like more district and got bigger. But even with that, still to me, still the small little city right next to Guangzhou.
What is Foshan actually known for? Because in my impression, it's like furniture.
You're not wrong.
Okay.
But the Shunde people will always disagree with you. That's not Foshan. That's we Shunde people.
Yeah.
Okay.
My dad's from Shunde, and there's a lot of furniture making there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So how was your childhood then? Is that where you spent your childhood there?
No, I was there until about 9, and then I moved to Singapore to study until I was 18. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And
then I moved to Vancouver with the family.
So what I wanted to ask you was, when you left Foshan and then went to Singapore, was the family together?
No, not really. Dad has to work, whatnot, and then I was in the beginning when I first moved there, it's just only me. I was in a homestay family for a couple of years.
Sorry, moved to
Singapore. Yeah.
Right. So, how did you find that? You're like 9, you said, right?
Yeah, it's
and
hard.
then you had to go.
Shit's hard, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
What was hard about it?
Well, I mean, obviously at that age, that was 90. Was it? I think it's 96. Obviously, I don't speak a lick of English. The most I know is about yes and no, hello, goodbye. Can count to about 9. I know all the alphabet.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Were you part of that decision-making process?
Well, of course not.
9.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
you go there and you're in a homestay. Well, obviously homestay parents speaks Mandarin. But I'm living with, at that time, 10, 11 Indonesian kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard, man.
Okay.
And is it a Singaporean family?
It's a Singaporean family.
Was there a culture shock?
I don't know if you can call it culture shock, but when you're so young, I don't think you really care.
So from 0 to 9, would you say your childhood was relatively quite happy?
So it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, until I go to primary school, I just hated everybody. All of a sudden become really competitive and whatnot. I don't know, maybe I'm just a little bit messed up.
Okay.
I just never see the point of being competitive, has to finish your homework first, has to be blah blah blah. And in China you have this called 红领巾, which is the little red scarf that you wear. It's the communist China thing. Yeah, but again, it's competition where you must be good to become the first batch of student to be enlisted onto that group. Everybody will eventually. Yeah, I'm like the third group. You have no choice but they'll just have to put you in. Just whatever.
So what was the kind of like decision making process to go to Singapore? Why did you end up going to Singapore? Like, and as opposed to like England or other places?
Singapore, because obviously it's because of the high population of Chinese that everybody speaks the language, most of them at least.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of weather changes. There's not a lot of season change in Singapore, so it's easier for you to grow up. You don't get sick easily. Because I'm not particularly healthy when I was growing up. I just get sick very easily.
Yeah.
Every time when the weather when the season changes.
So how often were you seeing your family then?
Before my mom came to Singapore, about every school breaks.
So every 3 months or something like this?
I think it's more than that.
I have no idea what the school breaks. I mean, you have kids. You might know this better.
No,
right?
you grew up in Singapore.
I felt like but I think our holidays were different from you guys.
Oh, you're in international?
international school.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
So
I'm sorry, I don't get to experience that.
No, but I just felt like our holidays were super long, and then we were learning.
Yeah,
those
I
were
know.
kind of my holidays too, super long holidays. But I was actually in boarding school, so although they were in the same country as me,
Yeah.
I was actually not. I actually loved boarding school. I absolutely loved it.
But I guess it's easier when you all grew up. You grew up with kids around at least the similar age as you do.
Okay, so these they're not the same age. as
They're
you?
not the same age.
Oh,
They're quite a bit bigger, quite a
So
bit older.
You were like 9, and they were what?
They were like at least 14,
oh,
15. They're
wow.
all in like junior high school.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Just to give the audience some idea, why was that hard?
You don't speak English, and you never know when you're gonna piss them off, and you never know when you're gonna have a quarrel. You live alone. You actually just not speaking the language, and you in the room by yourself.
Yeah.
You don't really get to go out, not because you don't want to, you just don't know how to. It's just weird, man.
Can I ask, having that experience you had, now when you're older, would you have preferred to have stayed in China?
No.
So
I
you
don't think
understand
so.
that decision to go to? You actually think? it's
Well,
better?
there are other decisions that I don't. Obviously, now I know the reason, but I don't think I should. I want to go into because that's not. That's a more personal or like business matter. But yeah,
Because the reason why I brought that up is
nothing illegal on my family's end. Just to make that clear.
I just think that it's one of the burdens of being in a more affluent family. You actually have the option to study abroad. Actually, Long, you had that pretty much similar thing, right? But the consequence of being able to study abroad is more often than not, the
Families are apart.
Family is apart, right? And I just wondered if that, in the long term, had an effect on how you are today. Because I think it must have done. But do you think so?
Yes or no? I guess there's no way to deny. Oh no, there's no effect on it. That's definitely a knock-on effect. It's just how severe it is.
So how would you say your relationship with your father is?
It's getting better, but I don't really like my dad when I was young. Well, even in China, I got my ass whooped a lot. So
Well, I mean,
I'm
I got
quite-
my ass whooped a lot as well.
hey, when I was 3, I got whooped just because I wasn't feeling comfortable with a belt.
Okay.
I'm quite curious because my boyfriend also moved to Singapore, same situation, but at 5. Same thing, could not speak a word of English, was staying with another family.
Yeah.
And he has these very similar stories that you're just saying.
Yeah.
And his stories they're like so vivid about, he remembers trying Subway for the first time and thinking, what is this bread? And then putting the stuff. And then but for him, it was very clear, like he really missed his mom.
Right.
And he was lonely as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no shit. Everyone misses
Yeah.
mom or dad. They would definitely have to when you're
I think
that
I
young.
was pretty homesick. I wasn't that homesick actually.
Yeah.
So I went to boarding school. I was
Yeah.
at boarding school in England. To me, it was like Harry Potter.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Yeah, so it was like had
Harry
the
Potter.
houses,
Yeah.
had the they were all like the previous
Yeah,
historically
yeah.
tied to the school.
Yeah.
The grounds were beautiful,
Beautiful, right?
absolutely beautiful. Like some of
Sorry,
those
in
views,
Singapore,
are
you
just,
don't get that.
Yeah, yeah,
like, acres and acres of land.
Yeah, we have no idea what that is.
yeah.
Okay.
Singapore is just construction.
Oh, okay. Well, we were
Yeah.
like also had this very old historic building. We had the dormitories. Everything you see in Harry Potter,
Yeah.
I kind of had a little bit of experience of that. Obviously, not on the magic side. Right?
So did you have the big halls with the food and stuff
yeah.
later? Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, we all dined
Oh,
there as well.
but the food is definitely again not like Harry Potter.
It's just
It's
magically.
is British dormitory food, so it's kind of shit.
No, actually,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's good.
It's like high
It
quality.
was really
like-
good.
you are like the only person I've heard that
No,
went in
I
boarding
would-
school that says that.
Yeah, it's really good. And
Yeah.
come the weekend, you had the tuck shop day, and
Oh.
you had like X amount of money to spend. I can't remember. It's like 15p or
Yeah,
30p, and
I'm sorry, we have no idea how that's
Yeah.
gonna feel like.
and then you had obviously the inter-school games and stuff. So, having now you're kind of like reached a certain level of financial freedom, right? What I want to understand is, do you think that affects your lack of motivation or gives you lack of motivation in finding your direction in life?
No, I'm always quite lack of motivation anyway.
But what I'm saying is, like, a lot of people when they graduate, they actually have to get a job. They actually have to do something to get money to survive. You don't need that, right?
I don't need that because I was working while I was in school.
Okay, so what were you doing? Why were you working actually then?
I was in the kitchen.
Yeah, why were you doing that then?
I just don't want to spend family money, so I work. I actually paid for, well, obviously except for rent. Mm-hmm. I pay for everything. I pay for, and also not the car insurance, but I pay for gas. I pay for my credit card bill. I pay for my school bills.
So was this your own choice then?
Yeah.
So obviously your parents would say you don't need to do that, or do you needed to do that, or?
My mom didn't say anything. My mom just let me go ahead.
Oh, so you said you actually wanted to work in the kitchen?
Yeah.
Okay, so was your desire to work in the kitchen more the fact it was the kitchen, and something you really liked? So I know you really love food.
Yeah.
Or is it because I want to be financially independent?
I guess a bit of all of the above mentioned.
But where does your love for food come from? Because like we all love to eat, but then I never thought, I'll die to be in the kitchen.
I guess, maybe cooking. It's a bit more. When I was younger, a lot younger, the family's definitely not that well off yet, right? I just had just remembering having hot pot at grandma's house where everybody just sort of sit together, we just eat a little bit, eat food, and just talk. Well, not talk smack, but we go on talk about our daily life, and it's just that that sense of unity or harmony that kind of gets you, or even like compared to other industry, it's where you do good, almost everyone will be happy. And so in other industry, you do a good job, you achieve something, your people from within the industry is like, you fucker.
Well, food does bring everyone together. Like you feel like you can make people feel good.
And food, almost like life and death is equal. Everyone has to eat. Yeah.
Because you find solace in food.
Yeah, I do.
Right?
I totally can see it. Like,
and
everyone finds
a
bit
that in food.
I can just see it all family memories, all the dinners. My mom was a really bad cook, so our bonding was in restaurants and going out. So I have very vivid memories of dishes, restaurants, and the restaurants are still there. I can even remember me like not liking foie gras and hiding it under the salad. Like
why
the
did
memories.
You do that,
Well, I'm
like
foie
gras there.
I know.
Oh,
I
hey,
think
it's
back
a
now.
quiet taste.
Like,
Not everyone.
Yeah, you lose.
But I learned that from Mr. Bean, by the way, because he was putting in the plants in different.
Mr. Bean.
Like
was the tartar?
Yeah, the tartar. That episode.
Was dinner time your only time that you got close to your mother and your parents?
Mom and dad, but I remember feeling stressed out because I had to dress up, and none of the.
What do you mean you have to dress up?
Like I had to wear like matching Armani suits and stuff that obviously like I didn't even choose. And I remember thinking I'm so uncomfortable. And I remember thinking I have to taste all the kind of food I hated, like taro sushi, which I now like. But they forced me to try everything because
sorry to cut you off, Dan. We're just from another planet. We do not know what she's talking about.
No, but no, but it's just funny because it all actually stemmed from the fact my mom couldn't cook.
Okay.
Yeah. So I so wish when I hear people talk about like this is my mom's best dish or whatever. I'm just like.
And I actually started playing with like a meat cleaver when I was around 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm helping my grandma mincing like pork meat for like that steam patty.
Yeah. That's.
During lunch.
I think we're touching on a few points which I really wanted to talk about in this podcast. Right? Is that there is
the sense of community.
No, it's not that.
No.
Is the misconception that when you have financial freedom as a second rich generation or second generation, that it comes with no burdens. It comes with everything that you would want. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we've touched on one, which is your family's apart. You know, most of them are actually, right? Mm-hmm. That inevitably does affect your childhood.
And sorry to cut you off, especially Chinese family.
Yeah.
Especially
Chinese families, because you couldn't get that level of education in China, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's not that many avenues to do so.
Yeah.
So
surely it will in the future, but definitely,
I think we've got a long way to go.
That definitely not where it went back when we grew up, and even now it's getting better.
And then the second thing is obviously because of the knock-on effect of being apart is that you have very, not strange, but the relationships with your family
It's strained.
it's strained, really strained,
That's the
right?
best way to put it. Yeah.
And it's not like when you see you see the other normal friends, you know it's not the same, right?
Yeah.
And when you're a kid, you can't put your finger on it, but you know there's something not quite right.
Oh no, I put my finger on it. Even back in China with me and my mom back then. Even my dad works out. It's not always home. Well, even when he's home, it's like 1 or 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
So there was one day I just walking around the street and then I saw this father and son was playing like a model airplane. I'm like, I didn't even think. I just say, I wish that was dad.
Oh,
That was my dad. And then my mom just slapped me right on the street.
Oh my God.
Actually, I have a similar story, but it wasn't with me. It's with my brother. My brother was young. My mom was there. She had to go work. And he said, oh, why can you not stay? Why can you not stay like everybody else?
Yeah.
And why this story comes out, because it doesn't sound that bad, it's because my mum remembers it to this day, that look in his face when she said I have to go, and my mum talked about it. So I think, yes, as children we feel like we really need our parents, but at the same time I think for successful entrepreneurs or successful business people, I mean, I feel it, if you can't give that time to your kids, it's also almost torturing your soul a bit. So would you actually appreciate what your father did, or do you understand why your father did that?
Well, understand, but yes, I just think that they can, maybe for the particular individual in that particular situation, it's hard for them to see it, but I think that they might still be able for times to maneuver around to be with your family just that a little bit more.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think I understand what you're saying. You feel that perhaps you could have been given a bit more?
Yeah, or even when you go, well, I do get that, there's a lot of stress going around when you go home. It's easier to let out on your not necessary abuse, but it's just, it's just the words come sometimes when it comes out. It's not that nice. Yeah, sure. In this day of age, they would just call it like family, not spousal, domestic violence, be it verbal or physical.
Well, I mean, I've touched on 2 points there, right? The third thing is that I think a lot of people that come from these families is the burden of having to succeed the family business.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like...
That's fine, I don't have that burden.
Yeah. Oh, you don't have that burden?
No.
Why?
Give me the chance to sell everything.
Yeah, so you don't feel like it's a burden for you. Yeah.
Well,
you don't have that burden.
No, I have the burden of whatever I look after.
Yeah.
But anything that I don't look after,
yeah.
I'm fine selling them. At a discount, I'm okay.
So when you say look after, that's like a...
Anchor's going to be looking for Chester again.
Like, that's because you don't care. But I'm sure you appreciate that for a lot of people is also a burden. They don't have the freedom to
definitely
actually
is
do what they
burden.
want.
I sell it because I see it as a burden.
Right.
I will sell it because it's a burden that there's no way as the next generation where you're away for so long, you grew up in different places, you can go in and get onto. This is very different from like big family in the West, because we don't have that foundation in China where families are allowed to thrive for generations.
Yeah, why is that? What do you think? What would you say it is?
I just think that it's just thousands of years of just bad management. And I don't want to badmouth our own people, but that's just how Chinese is.
What does that mean, though?
I just can't put a finger. It's just how we are, and whoever's on top, they don't really let you grow. They don't really let you thrive in a way. And whoever's thrive, because of the political situation, you have to do something that you're not too proud of, and sooner or later that might come back to bite you.
So do you feel like, okay, since you don't really care about that burden, you can sell it off? I'm sure your dad would be very pleased to hear that. Luckily, I don't think he's going to be hearing this, right?
Oh no, I say it in front of him.
Okay. But that means, does that give you the freedom to actually do what you want to do in life? You have no burden then?
I'm not really. You still look after part of the family operations.
Yeah, but that doesn't take up all your time. Do you ever feel like, I do have one life, I actually want to do the stuff I want to do?
That's only because you say that because I sit in the office or at home most of the time and don't do a lot. But when it comes, it's just like meetings after meetings after meetings. It don't fucking stop, right?
So these meetings. So, okay, obviously your family does a lot of business. You're handling one part of the portfolio, I would say, right? You're still under that burden then of the portfolio.
Sorry?
You're still under that part of your family's business where you can't actually do what you want to do because
if you put it that way, yes.
It's just that you haven't sold this off yet.
It's hard to sell it off.
I think the point that you're trying to make is, for most entrepreneurs, the thing that's stopping them is actually not having money to start. So they got to keep that day job, save up, and then go work on it after hours, right?
Yeah.
And you're saying Chester has the money, so why not just fucking do it, Just go for it.
I am saying that, but also I really want people out there to understand that how we see a lot of Chinese kids in the West and how they have the nice cars, they have the nice watches, they have all of
sorry,
that.
I don't have the nice cars.
Okay, but you know what I mean.
I don't want to break you off, but just to make it clear.
That impression is really strong, and it looks like the perfect life, right? But there is nothing without sacrifice. And many times it's not as free as you would think.
Thoughts, though?
Not as free as you would think. I think it's mindset, right? But I think the main thing is, no matter how you try and be an individual, Chinese people are just very filial, right? They feel guilty because they don't want to disappoint their parents. Even if I tell you now, hey, I'm very selfish, I'm whatever, in the back of my head, I'm always like, all my failures in life, like not fitting into society, not being married by 30 and all this, there's consequences for them, not for me. I don't really care what people think about me, but they have to go and face a lot of their friends and have to make some excuse for me. I don't even know why, right?
Actually, that's not something I really think about.
Yeah, that's not something I think about either.
This is what I feel.
Yeah,
I'm very sensitive.
But I just think that it really varies on individual, because I've seen, obviously, whoever listens to this again, if you know Vancouver, you know that Chinese got a bad rap there because there are a lot of rich kids that has money that, obviously comes from places where they know that it's better to just spend it away. So the parents just give them shit tons of money, and they just literally, I see kids changing cars every month.
Yeah.
Like what?
Like from Infiniti G35.
Yeah.
The next one will be LP. Was it 470 back then? The Lamborghini Gallardo.
Oh, okay.
And to something bigger again. I'm like, wow, you bastards.
Why do you think that? Why do you think you bastards? Why?
I just think that. Well, I don't know, because I am also a car person.
Yeah.
Not as big as a lot of other people. I just think that car, especially when you go up to that level, is a piece of art.
Yeah.
Oh, so you feel like it's not respected?
It's not respected.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're telling me that, well, I overheard. Oh, I get 400 or 500 Canadian dollar per week, and that's not enough for me to spend. I'm like, you prick, how much do you spend? You're already fat as fuck. Stop eating.
Well, next question, actually, I guess to both of you, right, is having the experiences you have as a child and everything that we experience today, do you ever feel like you're somehow detracted from reality or true society?
Well, definitely, and on some level.
Yeah. And so do you find that there's a emphasis for you to try and fit in?
No.
No.
Like, I love my life.
Yeah.
No shame.
I won't say I love my life, but I mean, I try to be try to be as down to earth as possible, but sometimes as you climb, it's hard to. Well, I mean, it sounds like shit, but there are times it's just hard for you to touch the ground. I mean, you will go back down. You'll find yourself on your both feet on the ground again. But then sometimes it's just stuff that you talk to because of the people you know.
Yeah.
The conversation, right? Is just, I won't want to say it's a different level. It's just a different conversation. So all of a sudden, when you go,
That's a good way to say it.
Yeah, when you go back to the. It's hard for you to go back to white collar or the blue collar conversation. But you can go back. It takes you a while.
I would say that sometimes if you see that conversation, it's a different conversation. Yeah, you can't really obviously do that conversation in a more standard. I don't know what just to call it, like a
more standard narrative.
Yeah, more standard narrative, more standard society, right? Because you will look like an absolute douchebag. I mean, I'm sure people listening might already think that about what we're talking about today. Right, and if that's the case, I'm sorry, but I'm actually not trying to highlight that fact.
Yeah.
And I do find it's because of that, everything you sometimes have to, with talking is you do have to put the brakes on sometimes. And I think Shanghai Watch Gang, even the watch community that we share, that we have, part of that is because you could still have that conversation, but then you can still have that other conversation and know fully well you won't be judged.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because you're not trying to do it to show off or anything.
Yeah.
But it's just like your normal lifestyle. And it's a part of you that you can't share to everybody.
Yeah.
But when you reach a certain level, you are comfortable sharing.
Yeah.
Knowing that you're not going to be taken advantage of.
Exactly.
They're not going to make a presumption on you.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. So, I was going to ask you, what do you think, leading on to that, people think of you when they first meet you? How do you know?
Yeah.
What do you think they think of you?
I don't know now. Well, even when I grew up, I don't meet a lot of people. I don't go like. I don't proactively meet a lot of people, so I don't really know. Sometimes, well, my then girlfriend told me that, oh, you kind of like an ass when you first talk to people.
Yeah.
That doesn't help when you think.
I think she did bring that up quite cleverly.
Yeah.
When you did have like a really, I would say, fierce father as you're growing up. So I would think that he's like the most. How would you put it? He's the most strong and sort of power play character in the world, sort of. I don't think that's the exact word. So I don't really care who I met, even you're like the leaders of the world. I'm just gonna speak the way I speak. If you don't like me, fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the right way to live, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on that note, I think we should finish this interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good way to finish.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you, Chester, for being very honest and candid during this particular interview. I know it did actually touch, it's quite personal. And I know it couldn't have been easy for you to share that and to to me. Right, so we really appreciate that. What I do believe is that there's people listening that where parts of your story or parts of what we were discussing actually resonate with. Okay.
I think a lot of people listening to will resonate.
Yeah.
Somehow.
I mean, it definitely was relatable for me, and
definitely
feel the same way, right? So, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you for part 2 of this podcast, which is focused on watch collecting.
Yay!